Part 2 of Full Court Press Basketball Debate, February 10th, 2015. Chris Guyette here with Yvonne Juneau. Mo Williams has been traded from Minnesota to Charlotte. That happened at 12:15 today. Yvonne Juneau, your thoughts?
I have absolutely no idea. I have no idea. Did they elaborate as to why?
It's very clear why.
I mean, did they come out better in the long run? Traded for who? For what?
Well, they got a second-round pick and Gary Neal, who's going to fit good in Minnesota. But Minnesota was not the needy party out of this trade. Charlotte needed a point guard. Let's remember they're missing Kemba Walker. Okay?
Okay, but Minnesota's not exactly knocking them dead.
Okay, but Ricky Rubio is back. And is playing at an extremely high level.
He's playing his little butt off.
And Rubio's getting the minutes. Mo Williams is not. But Mo Williams deserves to be getting the minutes, right?
Yeah.
So Minnesota's going to do the right thing.
Because
they're going to say, look, Mo.
the season, I didn't know who Mo was.
They're going to say, look, Mo, you'll get more minutes in Charlotte. They need a point guard. They need somebody to lead their team. You're going to Charlotte.
He went from Minnesota to North Carolina.
Uh-huh.
He was in favor of this?
Doesn't matter.
I know you keep telling me that every time.
But I would assume so. If I would have been, if I'm Mo Williams,
you keep telling me that it doesn't really matter what the player thinks or wants because
if I'm Mo Williams, if I am Mo Williams, yes, I'm extremely in favor of this.
Because Rubio's back and I'm gonna be on the court.
Number one, I'm gonna get more minutes.
Okay.
Number two, Charlotte's in the playoffs. Minnesota is not.
You might as well pause that.
The needy party out of this trade was Charlotte. They're missing Kemba Walker. They need a point guard. Mo Williams is going to get minutes, and we know Mo Williams is capable of big things. He's going to help Charlotte out tremendously.
The thing that bothers me the most, I'm sorry to interrupt you, it always bothers me when they trade these guys, and the guys have nothing to say about it, which I know is part of their agreement when they join the NBA. I understand that. Okay? If they're making a trade for these guys to get more minutes, if they're making a trade to better these guys, okay, then I'm all for it. But it just kills me that these guys have nothing to say about it. Because Mo Williams has been doing a hell of a job.
Yeah. But Ricky Rubio coming back.
Yeah.
He's going to get less minutes. I mean, it's just the reality of it. I mean, that's what happens, you know.
I'm a baby. We're debating how.
So I can automatically relate to
So,
the woman. Awesome.
Chris Paul. Here we go.
We are really going to go here again.
Chris Paul fined $25,000 for his comments about female official Lauren Holtkamp. I'm not going to go into all kinds of details about the situation because if you haven't heard about the situation, you need not to be listening to the show.
No. You need to preface
Okay.
You need to sum it up without making a dissertation about it.
A lot of technical fouls were called on the Clippers by this female official, Lauren Holtkamp. Chris Paul was not happy.
Now, when did this happen and who did they play? Last week.
Yeah.
Okay. Against?
I don't even remember who they were playing.
And we need not do this show.
I don't even remember who they were playing. Okay. But he didn't like it. So after the game, he went on national television and said that maybe this job isn't for her. So he's fined $25,000.
Because he said the job wasn't for her.
Yvonne Juno, your thoughts on the situation?
Okay, anybody who listens to this and anybody that knows me knows that I absolutely love Chris Paul. Okay? He can do very little wrong in my eyes. What Chris did not tell you is that what precipitated him making that statement in the interview is that when she went to tell him that she needed to touch the ball before it got back into play, she said, and he said, why, Now, if you look at the footage, and if you look at the game and what transpired, he said more than why, Okay? But as long as they're on the court, and that's when she called a tech, while they're on the court, okay, it's basketball. It's all basketball. It should be all basketball. And it's a player spouting off about what a ref said. Okay? That was bad enough. Okay? I say very, very, very little negative about Chris Paul, ever. But the man needs to know when to shut up. I love him. I always have. Even back in the days of being with New Orleans. Okay? He could have left it on the basketball court where it needed to be. He should have left it on the basketball court. What does he do? The game's over. They stick a microphone in his face. Now, at this point, they're not on the court anymore. Okay? Well, then it was open season on this Lauren ref. He should have kept his mouth shut. Okay? Saying, now I understand in the heat of the moment, I understand he was still upset. Okay? But to say maybe this is not meant for her, oh my gosh. And he should have known how that would be received. And he should have known that it would get him in trouble. I, 9 times out of 10, will defend Chris Paul for anything he says or anything he does. And this Chris right here is going to be very surprised by my saying that was the wrong thing to do. Wrong time, wrong place, inappropriate. He should not have said that because it can be misconstrued in so many ways, as it was. Because the first thing they did was they turned it around and tried to say that he said that because she was a female. That was not a feminist remark.
Okay. Before I give you my take on this, I need to preface this by saying that this is a very touchy subject. This is a very sensitive subject that we don't discuss often on this show. I love Chris Paul. I love everything about Chris Paul. He was the hero of New Orleans before Drew Brees came along. Okay? This situation, if you're honest with yourself, this situation is being blown up because of one word. Her.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
If he says this about a male official,
Uh-huh.
this is not headline news.
No.
But this is a female official.
Right.
That being said, this is uncalled for. Okay? Yeah, you got a technical foul called on you. So what?
He should have let it go right there. Should have let it go right there.
Leave it on the court, Chris. Leave it on the court.
I can't believe we're in agreement on this one.
Where you and I differ, have you lost respect for him after this?
No.
That's where you and I differ.
No. Do I think he needs to keep his mouth shut a little bit more?
That is where
Yes.
you and I differ. Because let me ask you this. If Dwight Howard would have said this about Lauren Holtkamp, Would you lose respect for him?
Oh, you're making a good point. I knew you. Yeah. Yeah.
If Blake Griffin would have said this,
Yes.
so why not Chris Paul?
Okay.
Why are we making Chris Paul
Okay, you made your point.
out to be an angel? Because
No.
this is not an angelic comment.
No. I'm not making him out to be an angel. Don't put words in my mouth. I never said he was an angel. I'm not making him out to be an angel. I just got through saying he needs to learn when to keep his mouth shut.
He needs to keep his mouth shut. He should already have learned that
Well, you would think that
by being in the league for 10 plus years. And misconstrued. This statement has not been misconstrued. He came out and he said, maybe this is not for her. There's no way to misconstrue that. That's an insult. That is an insult. Females can referee just as well as males can.
Woo! I'm so proud of you
Because-
for saying that.
Basketball is not just a male sport.
I agree.
But there's nothing to agree about. It's a fact.
I know.
I watch the WNBA. Some of those women on WNBA, i.e. Diana Taurasi, Becky
better than the guys.
Hammond, Lisa Leslie,
Yes.
they're better than the men.
Yes, they are. I agree. I agree.
Matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, Becky Hammond is now an assistant coach on the San Antonio Spurs.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
They can referee just as easily as men can.
Okay.
So this is a direct insult. Does this make Chris Paul a sexist? No, it does not. Let's not go too far with this. Chris Paul is responsible.
No, because I think even if it had been a guy, he would have said,
Chris
maybe
Paul
this is not meant
Is
for him.
responsible for women being on the board of directors for the Players Association. Chris Paul is responsible for that. He is not a feminist. He is not a sexist. Let's not get it confused. But Chris Paul is so much in the wrong here
Yes.
that it's inexcusable. And this man is the president of the Players Association.
That makes it so much worse.
You are respected, you are looked
That
up to,
makes it
and for you to say
so
something
much
like this,
worse.
it's a low blow, man.
Yeah.
It's a low blow, and I cannot honestly stand right here and say that I have not lost respect for Chris Paul. Do I still consider him the best two-way player in the game? Yes. Do I still consider him the best point guard in the game? Yes. But this has absolutely nothing to do with basketball. It was an uncalled for comment that should not have been made.
I agree.
Case in point.
I agree. And he needs to learn when to shut up.
Don't get it confused, man. That's wrong. It's wrong.
Yeah.
100%. Derek Fisher, quote, I'm not running a copy of Phil Jackson's triangle. Yvonne, plain and simple, buy or sell, and why?
Will sell, of course. That's a stupid comment. What, did he think he came up with the idea? Did he create it? He can't even make it work. Are we supposed to think that he dreamed it up?
Wow.
He can't even make it work.
Wow.
And who does he think he's kidding? He's not smart enough to dream something like that up.
Whoa. Strong
Well-
comments from Yvonne right there.
Well, I'm sorry. That's an insult to Phil Jackson. Okay, that was an outright insult, derogatory remark to Phil Jackson. And I'm surprised Phil Jackson didn't have something derogatory to say back. Who does he think he is? No, I totally sell that.
Well, I can't say anything more than that because I agree with it completely. Very simple.
Are you kidding?
Blake Griffin has a staph infection removed from his elbow, and he will be out for 3 weeks. First question, Yvonne. How will this affect the Clippers?
Well, if they play like they played last night without him and Chris Paul decides to take over the game, it's not going to affect them that much. However, we can't rely on Chris doing that every night. for the next 3 to 4 weeks. I don't know how many games they have scheduled to play within that time frame, but I see that as something that could affect them very much if Chris does not step up to the plate and play like he did last night. My biggest concern is not how many games they're going to win or lose with Blake being out with this infection. My concern is he had that infection and was wearing his shooting sleeve on top of that. And how many other players did he possibly come into contact with and infect? And why did he wait so long to show it to the medical team or the coach or whatever, to where they would not have had to do surgery? If they would have put him on a strong round of antibiotics, they could have gotten rid of this without him having to have actual surgery. So if all of a sudden there's 4 or 5 players that come down because they share a locker room, they share towels, they share the bench,
The bus.
the bus,
The plane.
everything they touch, everybody touches the same doorknob to go in and out of every room. Was he aware that he had it?
I don't know.
Did he play knowing he had it? And if he did, and if they can prove in any way, shape, or form that he's been walking around with that for quite an extended period of time, to where he could have affected others, because it is extremely contagious. In other words, if that was my son or my husband on the team that played with him, I would be worried.
How will this affect the Clippers? You make a good point about how they played Dallas last night. But again, Chris Paul can get you 25 and 13 every night. Is it probable that that's going to happen? No.
No.
Because 25 and 13 on a nightly basis is a little much to ask, even for CP3 himself. And I know...
But it was against Dallas, but we
I
gotta
know-
remember,
I know
Rajon
dang sure...
Rondo was not on the floor.
I know dang sure that DeAndre Jordan's not going to get 22 and 27 every night.
I did not know he had gotten
that's-
27 rebounds.
That's what I know.
Did he do it legally, or was he being extremely rough on the floor?
I mean, without Tyson Chandler on the floor, DeAndre Jordan was getting every rebound that was coming down. Okay?
But we all know how rough he can be and what he got away with when he went to the game.
I honestly don't think it's going to affect the Clippers all too much, because they can win without Blake Griffin. They play well without Blake Griffin, and we're at the All-Star break. So it's a limited amount of games that they have to play without him. So I don't think it's going to be as much of a detriment as people are making it out to be. I'm more concerned with question B. Yvonne, are the Clippers legitimate contenders for a championship? Why or why not?
No. 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 Too many problems, too much stress. Now that Chris is in the news, now that Blake is out, now that I just don't see it. I may be wrong, may end up proving me wrong. I don't see it. There's too many big teams to play. There's too much competition coming down the road. I just don't see it. I may be wrong. What do you think?
In my heart, I think they are. In my heart of hearts, I can't say that they are. Because of one main reason. Not that Chris Paul's in the news, not that Blake Griffin's injured. This team is so inconsistent. You never know from night to night if they're going to show up. If they're even going to get off the plane.
And it doesn't make any difference if they're at home or they're
It
away.
doesn't.
It doesn't. Because a perfect example, not to cut you off, but New Orleans plays so much better at home. There are just some teams
And
that
that's
play,
the case with most teams.
And right.
Most teams
Get
play
used to
better
their
where
own
they're comfortable.
court, their own air. Yes. Okay. There are some teams that it's so much more obvious and prevalent, you can tell. Okay. There are some teams Doesn't make any difference. Doesn't matter. Okay? They can win just as easily on a 5-game stretch away as they can on their own home court.
The Spurs.
Right. They're lucky in that way. Okay? But when you're not consistent at home and on the road, it means that you're just totally not consistent.
And another thing that I've noticed about the Clippers this season is that they fall apart in big moments. When the game's on the line, it's like they don't know who to go to. They don't know who to trust with the ball in their hands. It's like they're searching for it. And no, because come playoff time, every single possession is a clutch moment. Okay?
Right.
I mean, I can't say that they're legit contenders. Could that change after the All-Star break? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because they could climb to a top 4 seed. Easily they could. Because they're that good. When they're good. When they're bad.
When they show up.
When they're bad, they're very bad.
Well, that's just it. There's no happy medium of the road with them.
There's not.
If they're good, they're awesome. If they're not good, they're not good.
And Damian Lillard has replaced Blake Griffin in the All-Star game. Yvonne Juno, is this deserved? Why or why not?
Oh, absolutely. He should have been on there from the very beginning. And
Boom.
shame on them for not putting him on there from the very beginning. And do I think that his email and that his
Twitter.
and whatever it was that drew attention to this, do I think that that had a lot to do with them immediately putting him up there with the All-Stars the first time that there was an availability? Absolutely. I think that had a lot to do with it, but you know what? It should never have gone to that point because he's good enough that he should have been picked in the first round.
When you're putting up 23 and 9, you're an all-star.
Yep,
It's that simple.
that's right.
I don't care what conference you play in. I don't care that there's a lot of elite teams in the West. When you're putting up 23 points and 9 assists a game, you are an all-star.
You would think.
Where's my dish towel?
I used it to...
Oh,
I mean, come on. You're right. He deserved to be on this from the first ballot.
absolutely.
This is why.
And he deserved to be pissed off.
This is why I said in the last show, you don't leave this stuff up to the fans. You don't. Because this is the kind of stuff that happens.
Well, the record should speak for itself.
Come on.
We're not talking about American Idol here.
Back this past week, okay, the number 1 team in the East, the Atlanta Hawks, played the number 1 team in the West, the Golden State Warriors. And Atlanta topped them. Okay, Atlanta won. Yvonne, what does this game prove to you? What does the result of this game prove to you?
I don't understand what you mean. Atlanta's number 1.
So was Golden State. It
There
was a
is
matchup.
no comparison.
That's what I'm asking for.
Well, there's no comparison in my mind. We're talking about a well-rounded, all-around, very versatile, very talented, can post up, can play any position, can pass, can shoot, can make three-point shots, whatever. We're talking about comparing that kind of team to a very one-dimensional team who's got 2 people who are trying to see who can outshoot the other one with three-point shots. Let's be perfectly honest here. There's no, in my mind, and it's only a matter of opinion, and we all know what opinions are like, okay? In my mind, there is no comparison, okay? Yes, Golden State's great, don't get me wrong, against the right team. Against the right team. You take them out of their element, you take them, you put them in the paint, you put them up against somebody who is a really good defender, get the ball out of Curry's hand, get the ball away from Klay Thompson, they're not going to win. Just my own personal
The fact
opinion.
of the matter, ladies and gentlemen, it's not about Golden State's three-point shooting. In this game, it was not. Okay?
They just weren't good enough.
Not that they weren't good enough. They don't like to be roughed up. They don't like being touched. They don't like contact.
You can't play basketball without contact.
Okay? They don't like it.
There's no such thing. That's like saying run for a touchdown on the football field and not get tackled or not get...
And when somebody comes to them and plays rough, what is considered rough to them, and when somebody gets down and dirty with them, they're not up to the task. Because they don't like that style of play. They like to just go with the flow. Well, guess what, boys? You're in the land of the big dogs when you play the Atlanta Hawks, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
And you telling me that if Golden State wins the West, which, by the way, is possible,
Yeah.
okay? But you mean to tell me that if they meet a team like Cleveland, that LeBron's not going to touch them? Are you kidding me?
They're dreaming.
Are you kidding me?
They're in
Or even better. Or I'll give you a better comparison than Cleveland.
in for a
I'll give you a better.
game.
I'll give you a better one than Cleveland. They play Chicago in the finals.
Oh, God.
Joakim Noah,
No.
Pau Gasol, Derrick Rose.
No.
They're not going to drive on them.
No.
They're not going to touch them.
They're going to be all over them.
They're going to get swept.
They're not
That's what's going to happen.
They're not going to know what happened.
They don't like to play aggressive.
Right.
And guess what, boys?
The only thing that will be favorable for them, the only thing is that they're fast. Maybe they will be able to stay away.
Yeah, you can be as fast as you
Sure.
want, but if you have a brick wall standing in your
Oh,
way,
I agree.
speed does you little to no
I
good.
agree. I agree.
Okay?
I agree.
Now, question B. Is Atlanta the favorite to win it all at this point of the season?
Yes.
Why or why not?
Yes. Yes. Because right now they're the best. They've got the most wins. They're the best. They're the ones with the best record. They're the one. Okay, I think we can sum it up with just the opposite of what we were saying about the Clippers. Okay? If I had to tell you why, it boils down to one word: consistency. They have been the most consistent with their wins. Now, one injury, one stroke of bad luck, one thing could change all of that. I understand that. But if it came down to it right now, I would say yeah. I would say yeah.
Statistically, yes, they are. But factually, they're not.
Why?
Because the Spurs are the favorite to win it all. You know why? Because they have not been dethroned. I said it from the very beginning. Prove me wrong. Until someone dethrones the San Antonio Spurs,
But baby, they have lost some
they
very
are
important
okay. But
games.
this is the regular season.
They've lost some very
This is the regular
important
season,
games.
and now every single one of them is healthy. Let's remember that. Since all of them have been healthy, they're 7-1. Since having Ginobili, Parker, Duncan, and Kawhi Leonard back on the same floor at the same time, they're almost undefeated. Okay? Until you dethrone the champion should automatically be the favorite to win it all.
Well, I agree with you, and I've said from day one when the season started that I thought the Spurs were going to be a repeat. Okay? I've said that. I've said that. And in my heart, I still think that could happen. But with the way Atlanta's playing, I just
Like I
don't
said,
know.
statistically, yes, they should be the favorite
I just
to win
don't
it all.
know.
Am I saying that they're not going to win it all? No. But I'm simply saying, prove me wrong. You're going to have to dethrone the San Antonio Spurs. And when I mean dethrone them, you're going to have to forcibly dethrone that team. Because if you want to sit there and tell me that Tim Duncan doesn't want this 6th ring, you lost your mind.
Oh, I know. I know. I agree with that. I agree with that. But that brings up something that you're failing to mention. There were a couple of games that everybody was healthy. And Tony Parker made 4 points.
Okay.
Tim Duncan made 5 points.
Okay. It happens.
Oh my God.
You have off nights. You're gonna have them. Okay? It happens.
Okay.
But right now, everybody just seems
Oh, I would not
to
be unhappy if they won again.
Oh, Golden State.
No,
oh,
that's
Portland.
not gonna happen.
Oh, yada, yada, yada,
That's
Spurs.
not gonna happen.
Spurs.
That's not gonna happen.
Prove me wrong. Our boy Anthony Davis hits the game winner against OKC.
And I mean right when the light changed around the scoreboard. I mean, they looked at that replay at least 4 times.
Everybody knows the shot I'm talking about.
Oh my God, it was so beautiful.
I'd like to first state that this was a must-win game, and we won. We came up big. Anthony Davis came up big. Was luck on his side? Yes. Because Anthony
You think
Davis...
you think that last shot was strictly luck?
Not strictly,
Oh,
but I think a good 70% of it was. Because...
I'll give you 50, but not 7.
70% because this man does not shoot 3-pointers. That was his first 3-pointer of the season.
I know.
There were 2 men in his face. He double clutched the shot
That's
from
true.
30 feet. Now come on.
Okay. All
For
right.
a guy that
I'm gonna
doesn't
play-
shoot threes.
Yeah, but I'm going to play devil's advocate here
Come
like
on.
you do with me. Doesn't that also prove that he can if he wants to?
Sure, but
Double clutch.
consistently? No.
Because he's not known for it.
That happens
I hear you.
one in about every 75 shots.
Okay, I hear you.
Okay?
And all that matters is that he did it that night.
That's right. That's fine. And good, great. That's my team. Awesome. What does the result of this game show you?
That we need Anthony Davis on the court.
That pretty much sums it up.
Absolutely. Oh, we could use Drew too. Don't get me wrong. The absence of Drew Holiday is very important. And now we got Ryan Anderson out. Okay? Which I think was a very contributing factor to last night's loss to Utah. Okay? But we absolutely need Anthony on the floor. And he's got to stay well. And they're pushing these guys so hard. And I've been saying for years, you know, it's amazing to me, for those of you out there listening, it's amazing to me that these guys and the injuries sustained and all of this stuff that they had to go through with physical therapy and all that kind of stuff, it's amazing to me that all this time, it's usually been, it's usually been after the All-Star break. Every year, it's getting more and more and more frequent and earlier. We got how many people out right now on all the different teams?
Too many.
Yeah. And it's not even the All-Star break till next week. So, I mean, I don't even know what to say about that. I think they push them too hard. I think the games are too close together. I thought that was a situation that Adam Silver was supposed to discuss.
He is discussing it. He's in the process of discussing it.
Okay. Well,
Oh.
I think it needs to be dealt with.
What does this game show me? It shows me that on any given night, we can beat any team that we choose with Anthony Davis on the floor.
Yeah.
And that last part is key. Because about every team in the league, there is a proverbial glue. There is that one player
Oh yeah, he's the glue.
that you're just not the same without.
Right, he's the glue.
You can win without him,
Yeah.
but you're not the same.
No,
That is Anthony Davis
absolutely.
for us.
Absolutely. What's the matter?
Oh, my back hurts. My
It's just,
You hungry, babe?
shark swimming in the sea.
Does a shark swim in the sea? Okay.
It's very good to go into a must-win atmosphere and win. That's another thing the game showed me. When the game's on the line, we come through. That's very important, especially if we make the playoffs. It's going to be very important to come through in the clutch moments, i.e. Paul Pierce, i.e. Kobe Bryant, i.e. Michael Jordan. All these guys. You got to be able to do it. And we did it.
Put on the air.
LaMarcus Aldridge sets a Portland Trailblazers record with his 220th career double-double. Your thoughts?
Congratulations. I'm not surprised. What can you say about something like that? How old is he?
He's 28.
I thought he was older than that.
Nope.
Then he's got a big, long career ahead of him. That's wonderful.
You can say a lot about this if you look at Portland Trailblazers history. Guys like Terry Porter, guys like Clyde the Glide Drexler, guys like Arvydas Sabonis, guys that have come onto the scene in Portland and made a name for themselves. Kind of hard to compare him to Clyde. I'm not going to do that because Clyde is a legend. But LaMarcus Aldridge is clearly, you want to talk about glue for a team? LaMarcus Aldridge is it. LaMarcus Aldridge is probably the most underrated big man in the entire NBA.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
He's overlooked. He's underrated and has been for years.
Yeah.
And I love his style of play.
But he's also under the radar, and he doesn't cause trouble, and he's not in trouble with the law, and he's not, I mean, he's to himself. He's all about, this is business to him.
It's incredible. 220 double-doubles. You set a Portland career franchise record at the age of 28. You're pretty incredible, man. I mean, there's nothing to it, really. Not much to say beyond that. The whole Atlanta Hawks starting five named Player of the Month for January. Yvonne, your thoughts?
Wow.
Let me get a pen, I'll be right back.
What can you say about that? Has that ever been done before?
No.
That's never been done before? Okay. And why do you think that it happened this time?
It's very simple. Because this team literally went undefeated in the month of January.
Really? They didn't have one loss?
17-0, ma'am.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Only the third team in NBA history to do that.
Wow.
So
Well, then they deserve it.
it's unusual.
Keep it, do you? 'Cause I'll put it-
It's unusual. It's creative. I love it. It's well deserved.
Yep.
Congratulations to the Atlanta Hawks on their fantastic season thus far, but you still got half a season left, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Still got half a season
Oh, yeah.
left.
Don't take anything for granted. And that's the thing I think I'm the most concerned about. Is that they're going to get comfortable. You made that comment yourself.
I made that comment about Memphis.
Today's date.
I don't think anybody should get comfortable.
No. The Orlando Magic have fired their head coach, Jacques Vaughn, and have named an interim head coach. They moved an assistant up to interim head coach. Your thoughts?
I don't know enough about the guy to really have any thoughts. I think if they needed to do it, they needed to do it. Who did they put in his place?
An assistant. They promoted him up to head coach.
Does he deserve it? Is he any good? How long has he been with Orlando?
He's been with Orlando for some years.
Well,
Fi-
22 back.
the firing of a head coach is always rough. It's never good, no matter who it is, no matter how
No.
bad the team is. Jacques Vaughn is a good head coach. Jacques Vaughn played. He knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing. He just didn't fit in Orlando. He's going to get a head coaching job somewhere else. He deserves a head coaching job somewhere else because he's very knowledgeable. He just didn't fit in Orlando.
Well.
That's what this comes down to. It happens.
If they can bring Stan Van Gundy back, who, by the way, is like a totally different coaching person now. Okay? He's a nice guy all of a sudden. At least he appears to be to the players. If they can bring him back and find a spot for him after how many years? 3, 4 years?
Yep.
Of him being without a job? Then they can certainly find a spot for this guy.
An NBA analyst wrote an article on the Oklahoma City Thunder. And there was a quote that stuck out in there that read, quote, Oklahoma City's offense is dangerously average. Agree or disagree, and why?
Offense?
See if it shouldn't change anything, but I'll plug it in.
Offense or defense?
Their offense
No problem.
is dangerously average.
Why would he say something like that?
That's what I'm asking you. Do you agree or do you disagree with that?
Well, I don't think we can jump up and down and hoot and holler about their defense.
So the envelope.
So, I mean, if they-
When I mail it.
If they
When I mail it
are,
from the hospital,
if
so
they are where they
got
are,
questions in there
it doesn't
when it
have anything to do with their defense, it has to do with their offense. For the standing that they have now. So, I don't understand why somebody would make that kind of comment. Your thoughts?
He would make that kind of comment because it's 150% true.
Okay.
14th in the league in points per game. In the years that Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook have been a part of this team, I've never seen that. 14th, right in the middle of the league.
Okay.
28th in assists.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Now, this shouldn't come as too much of a surprise because Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant like to play a lot of one-on-one.
Right.
Now, they're number 1 in the league in rebounding, so that's in their favor. But 20th in
They're
field goal.
number 1 in rebounding?
Mm-hmm.
I thought
20th.
what you call it, well,
Oh,
okay.
20th in field goal percentage. 20th? Very unusual. 18th in free throw percentage. Very unusual. And 26th in three-point percentage.
Now that's inexcusable. That is just totally, you know how I feel about that free throw line. You know how I feel about free points. You shouldn't be in the NBA if you can't shoot free throws.
It's very true. That's why he would make this comment. I mean, I just gave you the stats. It's very un-Oklahoma City-like. Very un-Oklahoma City-like.
Well, I was not aware of the stats as you just read them out, so now that you've told me, I would have to agree.
The last topic. Pacers president Larry Bird says Paul George could return this season. I'm asking the question.
He said, if he's cleared by the medical team to return and he wants to return,
Right.
then we will let
So he
him
could return this
Right.
season. I'm putting the question out there. Should he return this season? Why or why not?
Oh, well, that's entirely up to him. What I'm worried about is because they're doing so poorly, he's going to push himself and he's going to return, whether he should return now or not. He's going to re-injure himself and he's going to be out for the rest of the season and maybe damage himself at a level where he can't return next season.
No, he should not return. For the simple fact of that Indiana has no chance to make the playoffs.
So why push himself and maybe hurt himself
Why are you
more?
coming back?
Right.
Wait till next season when you're 100% fresh, take a whole year off, come back, start from scratch with a new number, with a new outlook on your job and on your life. Come
But-
back and make a killing.
But we know that he feels so responsible. He has said so. for the team being in the position that they're in right now, that he may try to come back, get cleared, try to come back, because he thinks he may make that much of a difference. I think he should sit out for the rest of the year.
I mean, you're absolutely correct when you say it's up to him. But if I'm Paul George, I'm sitting out. It's halfway
But that's
over.
not his
I know.
personality to do that.
We'll see. Little Pelicans outlook, real quick. Lost to Utah last night. The only other game we have this week is at home against Indiana tomorrow night, and to say that's a must-win game is an understatement.
Yeah.
Because we're 3.5 games behind Phoenix now. Phoenix needs to lose to Houston tonight, which I do think is going to happen. We need Phoenix to lose more than we need to win. So, we have to win tomorrow night against Indiana. I mean, because then you got 8 days off.
Yeah.
So, you're going to be cold, you're going to come back. The odds of you winning after the All-Star break immediately are very slim because you're cold. You're jumping back into a routine.
I'm very anxious to see if Anthony's going to be able to be on the All-Star team.
And against the game, for the game in Indiana, an update came out about an hour and a half ago. Anthony Davis is likely to play. Ryan Anderson remains out.
Oh, wonderful.
A standings update real quick. If the playoffs started today, in the East, the 1 seed Atlanta would play the 8 seed Miami. The 2 seed Toronto would play the 7 seed Charlotte. The 3 seed Washington would take on the 6 seed Milwaukee. And the 4 seed Chicago would play the 5 seed Cleveland. In the West, nothing much has changed. The 1 seed Golden State would play the 8 seed Phoenix. The 2 seed Memphis would play the 7 seed San Antonio. The 3 seed Houston would play the 6 seed Clippers. And the 4 seed Portland would play the 5 seed Dallas. Not much has changed. And we made our picks for tonight.
Yes.
5 games tonight, a couple of them big. Detroit takes on Charlotte. Houston takes on Phoenix. Sacramento at Chicago. Brooklyn at Memphis. And Denver at the Lakers. All right, anything else?
Nope.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this edition of Full Court Press Basketball Debate. For Yvonne, I'm Chris. We'll see y'all next week. Thanks for tuning in, guys.